You know, folks, you know, years ago, several years ago, if not, well, I'd say about almost a decade, maybe less, maybe about 7, 8 years ago, maybe less than that, when the Knockouts division of TNA was really taking off and becoming the talk of the wrestling world, if not the women's wrestling world, TNA took advantage of that and did something that at the time many felt was necessary. I mean, you had a lot of women wrestlers that were coming to TNA because it was the place to be. So, in addition to creating the Knockouts Championship, TNA responded to this buzz around the division and around the fact that women wrestlers all over wanted to come to TNA and be part of it. TNA took advantage of this and decided, you know what? We need to create a new championship. That's right. Because like I said, the Knockouts division years ago, almost 7 years ago, 6 years ago, had such a buzz to it that women from around the world, women from different promotions would want to come to TNA and be part of it. They wanted a piece of that puzzle. Well, not puzzle, but they wanted a piece of that pie. They wanted to be part, basically, of the original women's Divas Knockouts revolution. Because let's be honest, the Knockouts division was on fire. And yeah, TNA is trying to basically at times bring the Knockouts division back to what brought it to the dance originally. They're trying to bring it back to prominence, if you will. But unfortunately, in the eyes of many, it's far too little too late. So now, WWE is trying to pick up on that momentum themselves. And like I said, several years ago when the Knockouts division was on fire, TNA responded to the feedback from the fans who got behind the Knockouts division, who wanted to see more of what the Knockouts can do. TNA, capitalized on that, added more fuel to that fire, and introduced, in addition to the Knockouts Championship, the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. That's right. Because they had, at the time, such basically a decent, because at the time they had such a decent, if not healthy, Knockouts roster, TNA, like I said, responded to the fans wanting more of the Knockouts and more of this women's wrestling that they were giving, that they created the Knockout Tag Team titles. Now, the Knockout Tag Team titles lasted a few years, but just like with the WWE's women's division, or Divas division, the Knockout division started to dwindle down, especially when you had Bischoff and Hogan come in. Now, apparently, according to rumors, Bischoff and Hogan weren't too keen on the Knockouts. Okay, that's their opinion. And with the control they had and everything, apparently that influence showed because, one, the Knockouts weren't shown as prominently as they should be. They weren't given the time they needed. And if they were, it was only because maybe Bischoff and Hogan were urged, perhaps by Dixie Carter or somebody in TNA, to give them that opportunity. And only if they felt the storyline was compelling enough for them to get behind it. Now, I know some of you might say, well, it's not just them either. It's Bruce Pritchard. He was behind it too. And that's true. It might be, and that's true. Bruce Pritchard would have to take some of the blame. Because like I said, his three, maybe two, maybe one individual, but mostly these three are at fault in some ways, if not most ways, at the fact that when they were running the ship of TNA, the Knockouts division wasn't prominent as it used to be, to the point that the Knockout Tag Team titles ended up being retired after the final team, which I think was Awesome Kong and this Japanese girl, I can't remember her name, had won the belts. And that was it. That was the last time we had heard of the Knockout Tag Team titles. So, with that said, like I said, TNA is trying, I guess in their minds, to bring this division back to prominence. Well, as the old saying goes, good luck with that. However, on the WWE side of things, everybody for the past few years had judged the Divas division and said basically it was one of the worst women's divisions in the world. You know, they basically looked at this Divas division on the main roster and felt it was nothing but a joke. I mean, sure you had some talented, sure you had some good in-ring competitors as a part of that division, from Natalya, Naomi, Tamina, and maybe one or two others. But the main three at that time were Tamina, Natalya, and Naomi. There's no shaking that. There's no going against that. And yeah, you had AJ as well, so make that four. You had four very talented divas that could go in that ring and work and put on some good matches if given the chance. If given the chance, if you will. But even with that said, the division was not as strong as it used to be. I mean, even when you had Beth Phoenix as part of the division years before she hung it up, people still looked at the division as being respectable, if you will. Because at least you had someone in Beth Phoenix that not only was strong but could go in that ring. Along with Mickie James, who many feel should just come back to WWE because they could definitely use that injection in the shot of the arm of the Divas division with her inclusion. And with the rumors that they may work one or two more matches down the line with Lita and Trish, possibly in a program with the Bellas, it's something the division can sorely need. And with the addition, and with several divas in the NXT right now that have yet to be called up, it's something that they do sorely need. But when you look back, like I said, when Beth Phoenix was part of it, even AJ before she decided to hang it up. Hang it up, if you will. AJ, and then you, like I said, Mickie, and then maybe even before that, Trish and Lita. Heck, even Layla and Michelle McCool. Here were ladies that, sure, some of them may have not been the best in the ring, but they were talented enough that people looked at them and saw a division that could be respected, even if it wasn't on the same levels that Trish and Lita and Jazz and Jackie and Sable and Molly Holly and all of them had put on the map, in the past. Even Christy Hemming, when she was part of it, did what she could, and even Ashley and Caitlyn all did what they could. And this is at a time, like I say, when the division was respectable. Was very respectable. But yet in recent years, if not the past couple of years, the division had gone down such a slide that no one could take it seriously anymore. I mean, the only thing that people would tune into the division for was AJ. AJ Lee, whether you want to admit it or not, was the Divas division. She was. And since she walked out, since she's decided to hang it up for the time being, they've taken what obviously they would have given to AJ and put that role in and given that role to Paige. I mean, come on, you think obviously this whole Divas revolution was going to be about Paige in the first place? No. I think if AJ Lee would have stuck around, it would have been her that they would have focused the Divas Revolution on, because here's someone that's very outspoken, can pipe bomb, if you will, if she's allowed to, like she's done in the past, and is basically somebody people would get behind and enjoy. So to me, had AJ not left, I think this role, this Divas Revolution deal would have gone to her and not Paige. But I digress. Anyway, though, one of the things about overall women's wrestling in the WWE that has been a shining point has been the NXT women's division. Because even with the call-ups of Charlotte and Becky and Sasha, you still see them on NXT live events. You still see them on NXT itself. So they're not entirely full-time on the roster just yet. Because they still have a lot to do, and that's why they still appear on... Excuse me again. That's why they still appear on NXT. Because as good as they are, there's still some mechanics that can work out. But they have proven to be something that is an injection that the Divas division needed. Because if you listen to the response now that not just Paige has gotten, but you listen to Charlotte's response that she gets. Same with Becky Lynch. And maybe, hell, even Sasha Banks. You know, these ladies are getting huge responses because the fans in the audiences, whether it's a Raw taping or a SmackDown taping or whatever, whether it's a live, whether it's a pay-per-view, these ladies are getting huge responses because the audiences there have seen them perform on NXT, maybe even seen them live at an NXT event and said, you know what, this is what women's wrestling is about. This is what WWE should be focusing on. And that's what they're doing, apparently. That's what they're trying to slowly do. Because there are other women in NXT that are going to get called up in time. Probably sooner than we think. I mean, Bayley's next on the list. There's no doubt about that. Alexis Bliss, I think, she's going to be she'll be on that list as well. And there's several others. There's several others that are training, getting better at what they're doing. They're going to get on that list. And again, you still have Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky going down there and competing. You have Emma down there who was sent back down because she still has a lot of work on and see what she can come up with. There you go. And you got other women in development right now being trained, getting ready to get that shot. Hell, Eva Marie. I know a lot of people shit on her, but apparently, real life-wise, outside, real life-wise, she's trying whatever she can and to improve in this ring. To improve and become a good in-ring performer. And apparently WWE wants to use that as a storyline. Probably the most important, believe it or not, could be the most potent, if not realistic and important storyline they're going to have. Because if the rumors are true that she's going to get the push that Lana was supposed to get, then holy smokes. Like I said, you got, let's see who you got down there. You got Alexis Bliss, I think that's her name, the girl that's like a fairy kind of heel. You've got Carmella, I think. You got Bayley. You still, like I say, have Sasha that goes back and forth along with Charlotte and Becky. You have Emma. You have that Beth Phoenix 2.0, as some people called her. You got all these women that are being groomed and developed down there in training and all that. They're going to get that shot someday. So, basically the question is WWE in the right to do is WWE in the right to do this? Are we going to, and that is, will WWE create a Divas Tag Team titles? I know it took a while to get to this point, and I apologize. Almost 15 minutes, so I do apologize. But anyway, is WWE in the right to create the Diva equivalent of these? Now, we all know that women's wrestling, depending on the promotion, whether it's an all-women's promotion like Shimmer or WSU, we know they have tag team titles because they got a healthy roster of women from not just their promotion, but basically anywhere. We know that. But we also know historically that WWF or WWE has had women tag team champions. 1983 to basically 1990, they had a tag team division. But it wasn't as prominent as it should be. Because basically, from historical standpoints, those tag team titles that originally Velvet McIntyre and her partner won in 1983 were originally the NWA Women's Tag Team titles. That is until they brought them over, or something happened that caused the WWE to gain ownership of them. And they went from like Velvet McIntyre and whoever her partner was, to the Glamour Girls, to the Jumping Bomb Angels, and that's about it as far as we know historically. But WWE has had a tag team championship for the female division. So the question is the timing right for WWE to create a Divas tag team title? Now, some might watch this and some might read the articles that have talked about this, and they might say, no, the timing's not right. They're focusing on 9 women. What sense does that make? And, people would have a point there. It's like, what sense does it make if you're going to create tag team titles? Because the only teams you're going to defend them against or have fight for them are Team Bad, the Submission Sorority, or the Submission Sisters, whatever name they're going to go with, and the Bellas, and Team Bella. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to create the titles and do a little mini tournament or mini battle royal, whatever, and put the belts, let's say, on Team Bella and have Brie and Alicia be the tag champs, and then what, lose them to Becky and Paige, or Becky and Charlotte, or Naomi and Tamina, or Naomi and Sasha? What sense does that make? A lot of people would look at that. They'd be like, what sense would that make? And that's basically, and some might even say it's going to be overcrowding the championship scene around there, because you would have U.S. titles, you'd have World Tag, you'd have Intercontinental, World Heavyweight. What sense, and you had the Divas, but what sense does it make? A lot of people would look at that. And some basically will say it doesn't make any sense. And again, they might have a point because the main focus is 9 divas right now. But it looks like, when one looks at it, I should say, from another point of view, WWE, if the rumor is true, or if the source of rumors and news and stuff is true, then what the WWE is doing is planning for the future of the division. Because if they're truly behind pushing this Divas revolution, and you're getting the focus not just on these 9 main women in the division, but you also have to focus on people like Summer and Lana, and possibly down the line very soon, there's no doubt about it, Eva Marie and Bayley and Carmella and Alexis Bliss and and this Beth Phoenix 2.0 and any other women that might be coming up from NXT. Even internationally and stuff, like from Japan and Mexico and stuff. One would have to look at it from a point of view of maybe WWE's planning for the future. Maybe they realize that if they're going to be behind this Divas revolution and they're going to improve the image of the Divas division and they're going to make it better and stronger than what it's ever been, then what they have to do is give more opportunities. They're going to have to give more opportunities to these women. Because if these women come in or get called up and they see that only one woman is holding a championship and it's the only championship in the division, they're going to feel, negated. They're going to feel shafted and all that. They're going to feel basically like, what's the point of being here? And that is why, in my opinion, if you look at it from that point of view, why there's a possibility that you might have a Diva tag team division, or Divas tag team titles coming into play soon. Because of the fact that you don't just have these 3 main faction of 9 women that are being the main focus, but you have these other women out there like